Friends, I hope you're doing well on this beautiful Wednesday. Weather's a little warmer today. Anyway, I just wanted to put out a short video. Again, it's WSIB Truth Matters with Joe Machado. This short video is basically going to talk about some of the things that I've encountered over the last 3 decades in dealing with WSIB extensively at all levels, and what I want to share with you, how I want to empower you with your claim. So I'm starting off with a 3-part series, which starts tomorrow, Thursday, the 20th, on Friday, and concludes on Monday. And it's going to be about 15 minutes per video. The whole series is called Take Back Your Power. At some point over the last 3 decades, since at least I've been involved with the WSIB, and I know it's been going on for much longer than that, the WSIB, rather than help injured workers and do what they were supposed to do from the beginning, has been slowly stripping away any amount of power, strength, support that injured workers have. And in recent events, with what they're doing and how much they're giving to employers, is a very good indication that that's not going to stop. So whatever issues you're having now with WSIB, however frustrated you are, I don't see any end in sight unless you take matters into your own hands and you take back your power. And I'm going to show you how to do that based on my experiences over the last 3 decades and how I was able to penetrate through that armor that they seem to be working under, and let them know that my clients won't be ignored, and neither will I. I hear this all the time, how difficult and frustrating it is to deal with the WSIB. Their lack of accountability, questions that go unanswered, calls that go unreturned, correspondence that goes unreturned. I've even heard about injured workers who are just trying to get their rights being threatened, that they will be barred from dealing with the WSIB if they don't change their behavior. You know, it's like children. If they're asking for something and they're pulling your pants and banging your leg and you ignore and ignore and ignore, they're going to start yelling and screaming because they need your attention. And if you just look at them and say, okay, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And do that. And treat them like humans with respect. Inevitably, they revert to other tactics. Everybody goes to work to earn money to put food on the table and pay their bills, even the people at the WSIB. And if they don't go into work, they don't earn money, they can't pay their bills. You know how many people I helped that actually worked for the WSIB and got betrayed by them, got kicked out? And I'm talking at all levels, not just adjudicators. I'm talking managers and directors. They don't show favoritism to nobody. This is their modus of operandum. This is what they do. So how do you break through that? I built a business. I built the largest paralegal firm in Ontario with over 10,000 clients, from Thunder Bay to Ottawa, Windsor, Fort Erie, and everywhere in between. I traveled across the province and did seminars and went face-to-face and talked one-on-one with injured workers, and I talked with them in group settings. And how did I do that? Our success rate was 80%. That's conservative. Without having to go to appeals. Now, people are going to listen to this. other paralegals or lawyers or appeals officers who are maybe watching this video, or case managers who are watching this video, they go, bullshit. This is Brighton. 80%. Nobody gets 80% settled without going to hearings. No, that doesn't happen. You know what? The statistics are very clear. And the WSIB knows this, and they play on that. They know that the majority or a large percentage of the cases that are denied, most people, they don't pursue it at the appeals. They just give up. And the WSIB knows that because, like me, they know the stats. And then those who go on to appeals, even before they get to a hearing, they can't afford to be off work anymore. They go back to work or find another job, even if they're hurt, and get their worse because they got to pay their bills. And then when it comes time to go to the hearing, they don't. And so there's a percentage that goes to hearings, and there's a percentage of those that go to hearings that get approved. And then when you're talking about the tribunal, the percentages that go to the tribunal, it just less and less and less. And so they know this. So they will use whatever tactic they can to discourage you. And they'll, they came up with this whole silly thing when David Marshall implemented his plan to screw over the injured workers royally, which was that, the road to no injuries. Are you kidding me? What do you mean the road to no injuries? There's always going to be accidents at work. It's just what people don't go to work and get hurt on purpose. It just happens. That's why they're called accidents. And most people who live on this planet and understand the realities of this planet and how things work, they accept that it's, yes, it happens. Accidents happen. So rather than try and come up with creative ways to deny what actually happens, when you start paying attention to actually doing what you were meant to do, but we can't rely on that. So we need to take matters into our own hands, and that means taking back our power. Over $300 million in settlements and counting. I have clients for whom I was able to get settlements that are going to benefit from that for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years because of what we did. And I'm so happy for them. It was one of the greatest things I ever did, which was to deliver a check to a client because it showed that we were able to accomplish something. And inevitably, and I'm not a hypocrite, it was good to get paid too. Because we're the first company that started on a contingency fee basis. We started that. Now lawyers do it and other paralegals do it, but we started it because I couldn't see billing injured workers month after month, week after week, knowing that they couldn't pay. They're not getting any money. So if they're not getting any money, how are they going to pay me? And I had to figure out another way to be able to make life easier for them. But that meant that we would have to invest in the case. And in some cases, we didn't win. So it was our loss. But it was an acceptable loss. It was a loss that I believe that was worth it. And 80% of cases settled without going to appeals. I'm going to show you how we did that. You see, the reason why the WSIB hates me so much and they put a target on my back and made my life miserable for the last 5 years is because they were threatened. And they had good reason to be threatened. Because I was working on a project that was going to take that $300 million that we'd settled, and I was going to triple that. That's over $1 billion. And that project is going to get restarted. I'm going to be talking about that on my next 3-part series. And they know that. They can see it coming. Every little piece, they see it coming. So, This first three-part series, I'm going to cover, it's three elements that I'm going to go over on each of the 3 days. One of them is identifying who is pulling the strings. You see, there are a lot of puppets at the WSIB, and there are puppeteers. And it's a well-kept secret because they don't like to be, they like to do things behind closed doors. But I broke through that wall, and I created some good friends along the way, some of whom are still working for the WSIB. I won't name names because they keep me in the loop. And yes, we have become friends over the years. But I never compromised my loyalties to my clients. Never. And they know that. But that armor is like an eggshell. An eggshell, depending on how you position it, can actually be very strong. But it's also vulnerable. It's about finding the vulnerabilities. And I found them years ago. I'm talking about something that just miraculously came to me overnight, 10, 15, 20 years ago. No. I found where those vulnerabilities were, and that was the only one that I enjoyed having payment managers on my phone, direct contact, and VPs, vice presidents. The WSIB has about 21 of them, I think, right now. But I had full line to some of them. Directors and managers from Thunder Bay to Ottawa, Windsor, and Fort Erie, and all of their offices in the interim. They saw me as a big threat, and they came after me, and they still see me as a big threat. So, identifying who's pulling the strings. Because like that adjudicator who thinks that, oh no, my decision's final, no, that's not the way it works. The next one is using their internal organizational structure to empower you. Yes, I didn't have to go and recreate anything. I just used what was there to empower. Why? Because everybody is accountable to somebody. And one thing I've learned over the years is some people don't want to take the fall for somebody else or do their work for them. So when the shit hits the fan, believe me, there's a lot of people scrambling. So knowing how that organizational structure works helps you to make them accountable at every step. Make sense? And then the third part of this 3-part series for Monday, getting the WSIB to take you seriously and getting results. Because they look at people now and they think we're a joke. They think most injured workers are too stupid to understand the laws and understand their rights, and too weak or intimidated to fight. And I can see how that happens because lack of knowledge, good knowledge, useful knowledge, lack of that knowledge can produce fear for most people, where you're afraid to ask for something because you think they know better and because you don't. Yes, it's a very real feeling. I had it for years. And the only way that I could fight that was to gain knowledge. But once you have knowledge, knowledge is power. And you've heard this saying before. I'm not making that up. And it may sound like a cliche, but it's not. Knowledge is power. When you know your rights, and when you know how to take the next step, when this person's trying to screw you, that's power. And we have the tools. You don't have to go and create the tools. I've already developed all those tools over 3 decades, and now I've put them into a very simple format that you can use. Without knowing the laws and the structure and all that, but those tools can be used. And I'm going to show you First of all, who pulls the strings? Secondly, how that organizational structure works. Who's accountable to who? And then thirdly, how to be taken seriously. Because when you have those three, you have power. You have a lot of power. And that case manager isn't going to be able to say to you anymore, you know what, my decision's final. Buzz off. No. It's coming. It starts tomorrow, Thursday, April the 20th. And it's going to be epic. Every single minute that you watch, you're going to go, holy shit. Now I can go after them. All right, friends, that's enough of that one. We'll see you tomorrow and have a great evening. Take care.